Whether in the short term or long term, there are lots of different techniques that can help you deal with anxiety. Anxiety can be, at times, truly debilitating, making it hard to go about your day. However, feelings of unease, worry, and fear, whether mild or more severe, can be dealt with. In the moment of an anxiety attack or any feelings of uneasiness, there are ways to step back and bring yourself back to a more comfortable feeling. Equally, for those who deal with anxiety on a constant basis, there are longer-term ways to address anxiety. Here are 8 science-backed methods to lessen feelings of anxiety, both in the long term and short term. Short-term tools to lessen your anxiety. Distance yourself from your anxieties. Bouts of anxiety often begin with catastrophic thinking about an upcoming event. You start imagining the myriad ways you'll make a fool of yourself on a first date. You picture yourself tongue-tied during an interview, or you conjure vivid images of the various ways that an airplane can malfunction. One way to dampen anxiety is to calm these racing thoughts. Don't do this with brute mental force. Simply trying to stifle the thoughts and push them out of your mind is unlikely to work and could even backfire. Instead, try to create some distance from the thoughts to help you realize that thoughts can be wrong and are not self-fulfilling. Say to yourself, I am having the thought that I am going to embarrass myself on this first date. Replace this with your own anxious thoughts. Having created this distance, calmly weigh the evidence for why you might make a fool of yourself, and then spend as much effort listing the ways that you might not. Also, remind yourself of times in the past when you've coped well. If your mind is racing with catastrophic thoughts about what's going to happen, your body responds in kind. The sympathetic nervous system kicks in, bracing you for a threat. Your breathing becomes fast and shallow, and adrenaline races to your muscles, which can cause you to tremble and feel faint. Bracing you for a threat, your breathing faint. A great way to dampen this reaction is to practice exercise that activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which has opposite effects on the body, such as lowering your heart rate and blood pressure and slowing your breathing. One exercise is called grounding, which helps you connect with the present moment and the environment around you, rather than being consumed by fears about the future. A popular way to do it involves pausing and naming 5 things you can see, naming 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Another technique is to stand with your feet a comfortable distance apart and lean forwards as if you're going to touch your toes. It doesn't matter how far you can actually reach, and then shall reach, and then just hang there for about 1 minute. You can also do this in a seated position by leaning forwards and allowing your head to hang comfortably between your legs. This sends a strong signal to your body that all is safe and you can relax. Regulate your breathing. Another way to calm your body down, promote parasympathetic nervous system activity, and break the anxiety cycle is to practice a controlled breathing exercise. One simple and effective example is known as box breathing or square breathing, so called because you breathe in, pause, and then breathe out, each for the same amount of time. Inhale for 4 seconds. Pause for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Try to repeat this for at least 30 seconds and continue for as long as you feel comfortable or as long as you need. This helps get your breathing rate and depth back under control, which calms the entire body. Plan a worry window. If you find that your worries keep coming back, even after you have calmed your mind and body, it can be unsettling and give you the sense that you are stuck in a loop. You might even come to believe that you need to engage in worry to try to solve a dilemma or prevent anything from happening. However, unless you are forming genuine solutions or constructive plans in your mind, churning the same worries is futile. A better approach is to plan a worry window, a set period of about 30 minutes, ideally not too close to bedtime, when you allow your mind to give vent to its worries. The rest of the time, whenever your worrisome thoughts surface, remind yourself that you will be turning your attention to them later. This can be an effective way to break out of a perpetual worry loop and allow you to get on with your life. Long-term tools to lessen your anxiety. Confront your fears. It's natural to want to avoid the situations that make you anxious, but in the long term, this only fuels your anxiety. Avoiding such situations means you miss opportunities in life and you never get to reality. Check your worst fears. For example, going on a date without it being a disaster, or flying on a plane and finding that it stays in the air. When you face your fears and find that the worst doesn't happen, psychologists call it an expectancy violation. You undermine your negative expectations and gradually teach your brain to be less anxious. The technical term for confronting your fears is exposure. Start gradually by choosing a mildly anxiety-provoking situation and giving it a go. If real-life exposure is too daunting, you can even try doing it in your imagination. Building opportunities for physical exercise into your lifestyle is good for both body and mind. Studies show exercise boosts mood, staves off depression, and reduces anxiety risk. It also helps regulate personality over time, such as lowering neuroticism. Regular exercise can also get you used to physical sensations that mimic anxiety, like a racing heartbeat and breathlessness. If you are familiar with these through a workout, they'll be less frightening in real-life anxiety situations, such as giving a speech or going for an interview. Go easy on the caffeine. Caffeine, whether in coffee, energy drinks, tea, or even chocolate, is a psychostimulant. It blocks the brain chemical adenosine, which normally calms us by lowering blood pressure and slowing breathing. This is helpful when you want alertness, but not if you are prone to anxiety. Too much caffeine can worsen anxiety, and in psychiatry, there's even a diagnosis called caffeine-induced anxiety disorder. Reducing caffeine intake is a simple lifestyle change that can significantly help in lowering anxiety levels. Consider your long-term relationship with anxiety. If you believe anxiety is a permanent part of who you are, you will be more likely to succumb to it and withdraw from challenges. But if you see anxiety as a temporary state, one that can affect anyone and can be managed. You will find more motivation to push through and handle it constructively. Psychologists describe this as having a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. A growth mindset toward anxiety helps you remember it can be useful, temporary, and tamed with the right strategies.